Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, the Shavuot daf Tesvav. We are going to begin on Yud Daled Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom by the 2 dots. So this brings us back to the Mishnah in the second parak, which tells us that when it comes to Yedias Toma, a person cannot enter while they are Tameh into the Azara. Now, not only is there an issue entering into the Azara, but also one who enters into the Tosefes Azara. Any additions that were built on afterwards. However, the Mishnah says, Shein Mosifin al Ir, V'al Azaros el B'melch V'navim V'Vaturim V'Sanhedrin Shel Shim V'Echad. In order to be able to you can't just build onto the Azara. You can't just build onto Yerushalayim. Rather, you need to have the king must say it's acceptable. The prophet, the Kohen Gadol's or Betumim, we answer the Sanhedrin of 71, as of course is discussed in the beginning of the Sanhedrin. It was state Todos, and there's 2 Todos which were brought. Uvashir, and they would sing. Ubeis Mahalchin, Vishtei Todos Achreihem, V'chol Yisrael Achreihem. So let's see the Gemara. So how do we know that this is the situation? So on this, Amar Rav Shimon bar Chia, do you ever call the pasuk says, K'chol asher ani mara oisacha, anything that I show to you, Eis Tavnis HaMishkan, regarding the structure of the Mishkan, Eis Tavnis Kol Kelov, and regarding all its Kalim, Tezvav and Aleph, V'chein Tasul Adairis, so should you do for all future generations. So, what exactly does this mean that we need all these different things in order to be able to add on to the Azara or to the city? The Chen Tasa, says Rashi, is Krayasera. It's extra. Well, Menrish Loditis comes to tell you that whatever took place then, initially, has to also be Lodiris. Says Rashi, Moshe, to whom Melech v'Navi, he was a king and he was a Navi, the Achav Kohen Gadol, and Aaron was the Kohen Gadol. But Tumim v'Shimim Zikanim, so too the same thing. Must have Rabbi. So on this, Rabbi asks a question. Kol Kalim Shasa Moshe. Whenever Moshe brought about the new Kalim, Mishichasan Makdishasan, he would anoint it with a special Shemen HaMishcha, and when he did that, that's how it became tahar, kadosh. That's how it achieved what's called kedushas haguf. However, from then on, for later generations, where we didn't anoint it with oils, we only did it the first time, where it was mechanchen, l'kedusha, v'chinach loshen haschala. Basically, the first time it was used, that's how it became sanctified. So why do we say this? This shouldn't be acceptable, because just like in the days of Moshe, he used Shemen HaMishcha, maybe that's what we also need to do for all future generations. Now, that he will anoint them and sanctify them, which is mashma only then and not future generations. Maybe you could do either. So that as you sanctify them through your service. So it's through shirus, it's through acts of service, is how you're able to be sanctified. So now that we say it's when you sanctify it through service, so oisam lumli. So then what do we need oisam? So ilo kosev rachamana oisam haba mina hanihu de memeshicha l'dairis memeshicha l'vayda. So you would think these were Mashiach, and for future generations you would need to do both Mashiach and Avoda. So it's coming to tell you that no, it's only in that generation of Moshe was it through Shemen HaMishcha. However, afterwards it's through the sanctification by its actual shirus, by its avoda. Question 8. Kachol asher ani maroscha es tavnis hamishkan es tavnis kokel v'chein tasu v'darashin v'chein tasu l'daris. So my yotzim achlal zed havi was mano v'lo dairis. This has to do with the kalim. So the kalim shosam Moshe mishichasan mechan chasan v'enu kain l'dairis elavoidasan mechan chasan. Okay, good. Let's see if there's a question over here. Okay, weiter. All right, that was question 8. Now, part of the process, you also have to have shtei todos. You brought these 2 breads. So, Tana shtei todos she'omru b'lachman v'lo b'vsara. The only thing you need to bring is the bread, but not the meat. So, mina hanimilas omer Rav Chisda di'emer kra ve'amida shtei todos gedolos. So they brought these 2 big todos. V'his halchos limin mial chayma, and it was put to the right side of the wall. So my gedolos, so it was big. Ilema mimin gadol mamish, which sounds like it could be like a very large animals. So name a parim, right? Maybe that's what it's referring to. A large min, like a cow. But again, we just excluded basar. Elwa gedolos b'minan. It was the largest of that species. So mi ika chashivusa k'mei shemaya. Understand, how is there some element of chashivus in front of Hashem regarding one thing or the other? Vasanya. Never ba'oylos behema asher reach nechayach ba'oylos oiv asher ish reach nechayach b'minchi ish reach nechayach. Here is a very, very famous part. Molamid she'echad hamar ve'echad mam and avad she'yichaven es libel of v'shashamayim. Hashem doesn't care necessarily if it's a very expensive item or not such an expensive thing that you bring. The reality is it's always a reach nechayach. It depends on what's in your heart. That's what matters. So why would we say it's because it's more, then that's more choshev? El gedolah shebatoida. It just means that when it comes to the carbon toda, which is the 40 breads, so we say that which is more. My nihu chametz. What do you mean chametz? Did not. Hataida haisaba min chamesh sayin Yerushalmis. It would come from 5 sayin from Yerushalmi. Shehin shisha midbarius, which is 6 midbarius. Shehin shtei ephos, which is 2 ephos. But ephah shows sayin, and an eph was 3 saw. Esrim isaron. Asar chametz asar matzah. So it's broken down that 10 of it was for chametz, and 10 of it was for matzah. But we know there's 40 breads. It was actually 4 different types of bread. There's 10 breads of 4 different kinds. But matzah shloishiminin. When it came to matzah unleavened, there was 3 different kinds: chalos, rikikin, or vucha. Rabbi Bar Chama, that's it. So there was 3 types of matzah breads, 10 each. But the 10 chametz breads was this equivalent to the 30 matzah breads. So the chametz breads were larger, and therefore that's what's come to tell you is that the shtei todos came from chametz, the chametz bread. Rabbi Bar Chama in hazor miskadeshes el b'shiri mincha. The only way you can sanctify the azara is with the leftovers from the carbon mincha. So my taima. So we say it's Yerushalayim. My Yerushalayim davar hanechel ba mikansha. So let's look at Rashi. B'shiri mincha, b'chalo shiri mincha. The breads from the leftover of the carbon mincha, hanechel is the kohanim. It's eaten for the kohanim. So what exactly is this? So we say like this, back in the Gemara. My Yerushalayim davar hanechel ba mikansha. Af azara davar hanechel ba mikansha. Only with matzah can it be is it going to be kodesh. So atu lachmi taida ba azara mil misachli. What in the azara in the lachmi taida is it only it's not in over there. El Yerushalayim, Ma Yerushalayim davar hanechel ba. It's a place where you eat v'yatz mimenu nifsel, and if you left the walls of the city, it becomes possible. Af azara davar hanechel ba v'yatz mimenu nifsel. It has to be something that when it leaves, it becomes possible. In Rashi, ought to what lachmi taida ba azara mil misachli v'taida v'lachmi nechon b'chol ir. The toida and the lechem can be in anywhere in the city. The yatsu chutzel chayman nifson. However, it leaves that it's possible. Hilchach. Yerushalayim is skad shebalach mitoida. Yerushalayim can be sanctified with the lechem mitoida. Shenecholin bo, because it's eaten there. The yatsu man and nifson. If it leaves, it's possible. V'azar is skad shebeshiri mincha. However, the azara is miskadish with the leftovers of the mincha. Shenecholin bo, that's eaten in the azara. The yatsu mimena psulun. And that's the reason behind this. Question 9. Me'ez carbon hayu hachalois shahayu mekanshin behen ha'ir bazaris. What type of carbon of chalos did we use to sanctify Yerushalayim, the ear, the Yerushalayim, and the cities, and the Azara? So kiddush ear was chalos chametz the toida, because the toida can be eaten anywhere within the city. Outside of the city becomes possible, and therefore that's the sanctification of using that particular item. However, in sanctifying the Azara, it's the chalos of the Shiri Mincha, in which the Shiri Mincha, of the carbon Mincha, that has to be eaten within the Azara, for the same reason. Okay, fine. So then the Gemara says, well, wait 1 second. So we just said that in the Azara, we use matzah, but we just mentioned before that when it comes to adding to Yerushalayim, to the walls of Yerushalayim, we use the larger amount, which is the chametz. So how do we say it's the same? But Tizbra minchas chametz mi'ika. Understand? How it has to be when it comes to the shiri mincha that it's matzah, because we don't find that it's ever anything but. Says Rashi, right? Minchas chametz mi'ika. Haksiv kol ha-mincha yakriv Hashem lo siafei chametz. It said lo sasa chametz. It says beferish it cannot be chametz. So so it has to be matzah. It can't be. It doesn't exist. So that's a question that doesn't begin. So we continue in testimony base. V'chitema demach mitzlahu shirayim. So fine. So it's matzah because it has to be matzah. It cannot be chametz. But maybe, says Rashi, that once it's shirayim, maybe it could become chametz. The lo kapid kra el akaidim kamitza. Maybe the whole problem is before the kamitza. Shal yakter kaimitz mechametz l'mizbeach. That the kamitza should not be from chametz. However, once that's done, maybe it's okay. V'chitema demach mitzlahu shirayim and mekadosh mehuvok. Even the leftovers, the portions, cannot be from chametz. So therefore, again, that's not a kasha. It has to be from matzah. So why not? After the mekadosh b'shtei lechem batzeres. Why don't we say that you can use the shtei halechem? Now the shtei halechem on Shavuot is made out of chametz. So why does it have to be matzah? So mishum d'lefsher, you cannot possibly use the shtei lechem of Shavuos to be mekadesh the Azara. So heichen David, nivneim esmo, we're going to build it up on Erev Yom Tov. The nikdashim esmo, then we'll sanctify it also in Erev Yom Tov. Shtei lechem b'shchitas kvasim hu dekadshi. When it comes to the shtei lechem on Shavuos, it has to be done on Shavuos itself because it has to be linked to the shtei kvasim. And without the Shnei Kvasim, you don't have the Shtei Lechem. So you can't do it before. It has to be on Yom Tov itself. So Nivnim Esmo, so okay, build it up, yes, on Erev Yom Tov. And then you can sanctify it on Shavuos. No, Be'inan Kiddush B'Shas Habinyan. The Kiddush has to happen the same day. So Nivni B'Yom Tov, okay, so build on Yom Tov. The Nikdash B'Yom Tov, no, Ein Binyan Mikdash Daiches Yom Tov. As important as maybe it is to build the Mikdash, but we're not going to push up. We're not going to build it on Yom Tov, so that doesn't work either. Okay, so Nishvika L'Basar Hachi, leave some bread for the next day. V'nivnei v'nikdashay nifshalei belina. Well, you can't leave it over till the next day because it's lina. Nivnei mimayli yoima. So build it on Erev Yom Tov. V'nishayber port to just leave like a small amount. Yadi kadosh yoima altar nigmer v'nikdasha, and you can finish building it up at night. There's no lina yet until the next day. Yeah, but you can't build at night. In binyan beis hamikdash b'layla. The Yom Rabbi menayin shein binyan beis hamikdash b'layla shneimar uva yoyim hakam es mishkan. Has to be only built during the day. But yoyim makimu ein makimu hilchachol afshir. So therefore, you don't find any situation where you can possibly use chametz. Therefore, it has to be matzah. Okay. Let's see if there's a question here. Okay, not yet. Let's see. Okay, this actually we talk have question TB10. Ksiv b'nechemia v'hamida shtei toidas gedolos. Right? There'll be shtei toidas gedolos. So the question is, what exactly does that mean? What are shtei toidas gedolos? I got this wrong, but basically, as we said, it is the toda, and specifically chametz. Okay, what did I write over here? L'hoisiv hazara zem mutter. L'hoisiv es ha'ir zem shel carbon toida. Let me just cross this out. This is good. L'hoisiv es ha'ir carbon toida. Okay. Carbon toda. And it's mi chametz. Right? Okay. Weiter. I got that question. I would say wrong, or I mentioned carbon toda, but I wrote a lot of other stuff too. Okay. So, Uvashir. One of the things has to be, there has to be song. Talmud, Shir Shel Toida, Bikinoidis, and Nevolim, Vesotsolim, Al Kol Pino, Fina, Vial Kol, Evan Gedolish Rishalayim. So basically, they have all these different musical instruments, the harp, the lyre, the cymbals, and they have to be in all the different corners, played everywhere. Okay. Fine. Vial Kol, fine. Va'omer, and these are some of the psukim that were said. Arumimcha Hashem kiti lisani, exalt me Hashem, lift me up. Says Rashi, Hu mizmor shir Chanukas habayis lakach omer iso. That's why we say that. In addition to that, uvashir shel pigoyim. Says Rashi, Yoshev Seser Elyoin. That's what we're referring to. V'yavarach oisa Moshe. Uma baruchu Yehi Ratzon Shetish Shechina B'Masi Yadechem V'Noam Hashem Elokeinu Hachis B'Taras Kohanim V'Hu Me'echad Eser Mizmorim Sha'omer Moshe B'Sefer Tehillim B'Tfilah Moshe V'Yad Sof Mizmor L'Toida. Okay. Weiter. V'yesh Omrim Shir Shel Negoyim. So Mandi Omer the Negoyim D'Chsev V'Naga L'Yikra B'Hoilecha. That someone with a saras can't enter into your tents. Mandimer Pegoyim D'Chsev Yipol Mesidcha Elaf. Yomer Yoshev B'Seser Elyon B'Sel Shalai Yisloinon. Ad Kiyato Hashem Machse Elyon Saptum Hoinecha. B'Chayz V'Yomer Mizmo David B'Vrachim Emnei Avshalom. B'Noi Hashem Ma'Rabu Tsoroi. So we say that as well. Ad Hashem HaYeshua Al Omad B'Yerchas Chasela. So these are all the different things that are said. Unbelievable. Question 10. Listen to this. Elu Pirkei Tehillim Muskarim B'Gemara Shoy Omer B'Shas Kiddush Ha'ir V'Hazaros. Very difficult question. So one is Mizmo Saida. One is Mizmo Shir Chanechas Abayis, which is on Rashi. Yoshe B'Seser Elyon. Hashem Ma'Rabu Sarai. Not an easy question. Okay. Weiter. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi Omer Lahu Lahani Kroi Viganoi. So he said he used to say all these different psukim. Again, Mizmor Saida, Mizmor Shir said David. He would again say Vihinoam, or he would say Yoshe B'Seser Elyon, Hashem Arabot Sonai, and he did it in order to be able to go to sleep, and that was it. That's what he used to always do. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi did. Now, says Rashi, Kishuhu hoylech liyashein b'layla. When he went to bed, before he went to sleep, he used to say, as part of Kriya Shema Mita, some of these kapitel to Tehillim. So where it says one second, hey Chavod, how can I do that? But Yom Rabbi Shimon Levi, also a Sarapos, bit of a Torah. You're not allowed to heal yourself by learning Torah, so that doesn't seem right. The answer is no Hagan Shani. In order to protect yourself, that's allowed. The Ella ki Yomer Aser Diika Maka. So that one it says it's Aser to do incantations and read various psukim. Is dafka in a situation where a person has some type of a blemish. Idika Maka Aser, only if there's a blemish. The Sula, no other time, but none. Halaychesh al Makeh. A person who does incantations for a Makeh. Eino chelchom habo. It's only when he also spits. Says Rashi, etc. If he spits and afterwards he does his incantations, that's the problem. Says Rashi, fine. So based in Mahalchin Rishtei Taidais, Achreihem, B'chulu, and again they accompany. So remember the based in K'mei Taida, so it's mashma that the based in came before the Toda. V'ksiv v'yelach Achreihem, that they went behind the breads. Hoshia v'chatzi Shira Yehuda. So Achikamar. Based in Mahalchin Rishtei Taidais Mahalchais. The based in Achreihem. The based in would go, the Shtei Taidais would go, and then the based in after them. Kates and Mahalchos. How exactly did the breads travel? Rabbi Chiya Rav Shimon Bereb is a machlokes. Chad Omer Zeh Keneged Zeh. The breads were side by side. The Chad Omer Zacher Zeh, like one was in front of the other. Me'adim Zu Keneged Zu, that they were side by side. Hapenimis, when we say the inner ones, Hach Dimikarvel Chayma, means that's what's closest to the wall. Me'adim Zu Acher Zu, like one's in front of the other. Hapenimis Hach Mikarvel basin. It's the breads that are close to the basin. Tanan. Hapenimis Nechelos. The inner ones are eaten. Vachitzon nisrefas, and the outer bread is burnt. Now, Bishul Ma'adim Zu. I can understand that one's in front of the other one. Abdul Hachi Penimus Nechelas. That's why we eat the inner one. Bishim Isa Chitzayna, because there's one that's an outer one. Kama Vikachala. El Madir Mizuka Negzu. They're right next to each other. Tirvai Bahadi Adanika Makachi. They should be sanctified the same way because they're in the same. They're in the same level, if you will. The one who says one in front of the other one, what you only one's sanctified, has to be all of these. If it's not all, it's nothing. So if these breads are considered to be one mitzvah. As we continue to test Zion and Aleph, Alpi Navi Nechelas. Says Rashi, Chag Zechariah Malachi Hayusham. They were there. V'alpihem Baruch HaKodesh Asu V'in Tam B'davar. V'alpi Navi Nisrefes. In other words, this was the tradition. We didn't necessarily understand the reasoning behind one was in front of the other, why the inner one was burnt, was consumed, the outer one was burnt, and those customs. That's just what was the din. Okay. Question. I'm going to stop there. Question. TA9 possibly. Moisif and al ear v'shtei toidus pnimis nechelos v'chisav v'nesrefes ezu nikras pnim v'ezi chitzayna. So which one is which? Okay, good question. So again, it depends if it's one's in front of the other one's side by side. So TA9, one who says zu keneged zu, that they're side by side. So the one which is closest to the wall was the pnimis, and the other one was considered to be outside. One who says Zuach or Zu, one's in front of the other, the one which is closest to the basin, which is going behind them, that's called Penimis, and the other one is Chitzayna. Adkan.